Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. It's great to have you along for this fine ride. Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, Union, Wings, Firebirds, Phoenix. The fans are all undefeated. Nick Castellanos can pick whatever bone he has with Philadelphia sports fans, but they're still going to be here, and we're never going to change. And Nick Castellanos really does try to be the contrarian in everything. On a night where he gets the biggest hit of the game, a two-run double, stretches the single into a double to get 2 runs in there, and then promptly, and I listened to Jimmy Rollins' perspective on this play, on the wheel play that the Dodgers ran. And I know we talked about it yesterday, but he talked about basically the mistake that Nick Castellanos made of like not knowing what Mookie Betts was doing and running with him or at him to keep him off second base, or keep him off third base, obstruct his angle any way he could, because you're not going to get picked off. There's nobody coming to second base there. And I really enjoyed Jimmy Rollins' breakdown of this because it did highlight not only, let's still not bury the lead here, the dumb idea of Bryson Stott being asked to bunt, but also the bad base running of Nick Castellanos. So, on a night where he still came up with the biggest hit, albeit getting thrown out at third on the wheel play, he had an opportunity to feel like, hey, in the little bit of time I had to have an impact on this series, I made an impact. I came up with a 2-run double. You're welcome. And almost not feel himself a little bit, but just have that confidence and create good vibes surrounding, hey, you know what, when we look back on this series, and let's just say that Kyle Schwarber still doesn't hit. Kyle Schwarber doesn't get a home run. Bryce Harper continues to not hit. Trey Turner continues to not hit. Really, this lineup in the 1, 2, and 3 spots continue to not hit. Nick Castellanos, I mean, we might look back on the series and be like, of all the people, Nick Castellanos is the guy who came up with the biggest hit in the series, JT Realmuto got a hit. That was a big hit. 2 runs scored on that. That was nice. That triple. That was fun. But instead of just riding the wave of a good vibe, Nick Castellanos poo-poos it with his comments on the fans. And let me just reiterate. The fans are undefeated. And in case you haven't seen the comments yet from Nick Castellanos, he talked about how the environment at Citizens Bank Park, as great as it can be, can also go against us. Huh? Here's Nick Castellanos. This is off CBSSports.com. I think the stadium is alive on both sides, right? When the game is going good, it's wind at your back. But when the game is not going good, it's wind in your face. The environment can be with us and the environment can be against us. When everything's going good and you're rolling, it's a pain to play here when you're an opposing team because the environment is amazing. But if we run into adversity and the tide shifts and now we're playing more tight because we don't want to be reprimanded for something bad. Reprimanded for something bad. You soft SOB. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you this. I try to keep this in. I really do try to keep this in perspective here. Let's acknowledge. Let's just get this out of the way, just in case Nick Castellanos happens to be up right now. Maybe he's just going to bed out in the West Coast. I don't know. Maybe he's scrolling social media under an assumed name. I don't know. Maybe he's seeing this. I've defended Nick Castellanos more than most. However, when a platoon works for the team, that's the way you got to go. And if your numbers are struggling, then yeah, you haven't earned the right to stay as the starting everyday right fielder on the Philadelphia Phillies. And unfortunately, when it comes down to it, in the 4 years Nick Castellanos has been here, 1 more year left on the contract of $100 million, so $20 million left. 1 All-Star appearance, and he hit .250 this year with 17 home runs. That ain't a brag. That's not a lot. That's not earning the right to be an everyday player. And if the team is playing better in a platoon situation, like 17 wins in September, for instance, then yeah, they should ride that out until it doesn't work anymore. Picking a fight with the fan base, critiquing the fan base, it ain't the time for that. This fan base, through the spending of the organization, has been promised beautiful things. Championships, World Series appearances. And right now, the Phillies are in the exact same boat as the 76ers. Spending a lot of money with very little result. I said it going into this year with the Phillies. I said it going into last year with the Sixers. These teams are almost identical. When it comes to what was promised and what was delivered, oh, this is disappointment. When it comes to over-promising and under-delivering, these two teams have done it beautifully. And I maintained throughout the season that this team was going to be a playoff team. I didn't think they were a World Series contender. And when Zach Wheeler went down, I thought, okay, well, that was never my major concern, but it doesn't help a ball club that can't score runs. And I think a perfect example of that is game one here against the Dodgers. Zach Wheeler, a right-handed pitcher going, and then a left-handed pitcher the next day, I think would have benefited this team wonderfully. But that's not the way it shook out, unfortunately. Zach Wheeler's season got shut down very prematurely to the postseason, and we got to deal with that. But to say that the fans are making you play tight, so how do you feel then when you're facing a really tough left-handed pitcher, a tough right-handed pitcher? I'm saying left-handed because we're talking about a platoon situation here. That doesn't make you nervous. Instead, you got to be more nervous about the way the crowd reacts. Again, to get back to perspective, I've been on the field at Citizens Bank Park, and I've played in like charity softball games, and I don't mean that to put it on the level of Castellanos. Stay with me, okay? Although I might have been faster. Kidding. I've stood out there in the outfield and playing the charity softball game and everything, and I look around and I still marvel at it, because I grew up here and I think about, the stadium full of fans and cheering you on and how great that's got to be. And then I've thought about the turn, like, wow, what would it feel like if this entire place was booing something I just did? That would kind of suck. But it's only going to get worse if you tell the fans that they're a hindrance. And I know everyone wants honesty. And I do believe that Nick Castellanos can't help himself but to be honest. And good for him. What a wonderful trait. Okay. Talking about Rob Thompson earlier in the season, his lack of communication, not great. His honesty with Rob Thompson in Miami when he did get benched, which, by the way, at the time I was against. But Nick Castellanos gets benched in the ninth inning for Max Kepler to go out there to right field. He couldn't help but to be honest with Rob Thompson. Months later, again, at his locker, yeah, we don't really have communication. He can't help but to be honest. Who's your favorite superhero? Scooby-Doo. It's not a superhero, but okay. In the Castellanos mind, it is. He can't help but to be honest. This is a time where we don't need honesty. This is a time where if you don't have something nice to say about the people that still come out and 31,000 people show up for an inter-squad scrimmage during your bye week, that's not really the time to say, these fans could be better. This team could be better. And ultimately, that's what matters. If you want us to cheer, give us something to cheer. Here's the deal. You gave us something to cheer about, something to get excited about having a playoff baseball team. So 31,000 people showed up to that compared to 26,000 for another playoff game between the Guardians and the Tigers. And I believe it was another 27,000 for another game in that series. Still, more fans showing up to an inter-squad game in Philly. So I say we support you. But just realize, the Phillies got booed about 5 outs into the 2009 season after they won their first World Series in 28 years. They got booed the following season, 5 outs into it. The Philadelphia Eagles won their first Super Bowl. And 2 quarters into the following season, Eagles fans booed them off the field at halftime. And I'll never forget what Malcolm Jenkins said, and I know I go to this a lot, but it's worth it. I'll never forget what Malcolm did. I would have booed us too. The only tact to take is the tact that you heard yesterday from Bryce Harper when he was addressing the media and said this.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I love playing at the bank. I love our fans. I boo myself when I get out. I'm the same way. So I entrust in what they do. They show up for us every day. day in and day out. So if we deserve to be booed, or if we deserve to, they spend their hard-earned dollar to come watch us play, they expect greatness out of us. I expect greatness out of myself and my teammates as well. So if they believe that, then I don't know what's going through their head or their mindset. We got some of the best fans in baseball, and I don't know. They make me play better, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's called accountability. And I also believe this. Philly ain't for everybody. I do believe that. Now, whether that's a brag or whatever, I know that's something other fan bases can debate, but I love us. I always loved that we're more of the strict parent than the nurturing parent. I've always loved that. Like we're the parent that's in the backyard playing with the kids or whatever, and it's like, no, you run that play again. You score again. You try to kick that ball in the net again. You try to hit this ball. You try to do that again. Not like, oh, you're tired. Okay, let's go inside. No, try to push through a little bit more. Push through to the next level, so next time you could go even further. Like I love that about us. I love us. Okay. Now's not the time for Nick Castellanos to be picking a fight with the Philadelphia Philly fans in general, not just Phillies fans, but the Philadelphia fan mindset. Because, again, we're undefeated. Now, why would he say this now? Well, one, he believes it. He's not lying. He's not trying to stir the pot. He's trying to be honest because he doesn't care. And, there's something to be admired about it with Nick Castellanos. He really doesn't care. This is how I feel. This is what's going on. Honesty is the best policy. And he lets it rip. Fine. Nobody wants to hear that right now because we're in the midst of seeing a team get swept out of the first round of the NLDS after earning the bye week. Another tease of a season. That's what we're getting out of all this. And one of the reasons to tease is because the team's not hitting, and he's part of it. Even though he came up with a big base knock there in the ninth inning, still part of it. Still got thrown out at third. On a dumb play, I do admit, but still got thrown out. And this team is on the precipice of being swept out of the NLDS. Another NLDS spanking. Good times. I don't want to hear about how the fans make you nervous. I don't want to hear about how you're not reprimanded because everything Bryce Harper said is dead on accurate. And I know people will dismiss what Bryce Harper said and say it's pandering. Oh, he keeps on pandering. Yeah, pander the hell out of me. I need it right now. After watching this team, 162 games, after watching the last handful of seasons end in disappointment, whether it's a World Series where you're up, you got 2 more games to clinch it, and then you stop hitting, including getting no hit. Yeah, I could use some pandering. After then watching the CS collapse against the Diamondbacks, yeah, I could use some pandering. After getting spanked by the Mets, yeah, I could use some pandering. After an 0-2 start to a 5-game series against the Dodgers at home, oh, yeah, I could use some pandering. So I'll say this also. I don't think Bryce is lying either, by the way. Just like I don't think Nick Castellanos is lying. I think they're both being very honest. They just have very different perspectives. Bryce Harper is cut from a much different cloth. His attitude is a lot different when it comes to, facing adversity. Being reprimanded. Malcolm Jenkins, I'd boo me too. I'd boo us too. Bryce Harper, just then, I'd boo us too. He likes that. And then he also went on to say, which I thought was funny, he's like, I'm going to get booed here in LA anyway, so what are we even talking about? And I love that. I've always said, if you're a professional athlete in Philadelphia and you get booed, you have to take it as if the boss is just telling you, get your you-know-what together. Just get it together. We're all seeing it. You're not fooling us. Get it together. I don't know, like the rare occasion of a Trey Turner standing ovation type thing, which I still love. I think that's great. But that ain't going to happen again. It would really take a lot for that to happen again. But when you're Nick Castellanos, you got 1 All-Star appearance in 4 years. You're going into their final year. And I also think this has a lot to do with it as well. I do think that Castellanos knows he's not going to be back next year. I think if you're looking at an outfield, like Harrison Bader being able to stay around here would be great. Obviously, Brandon Marsh, I'm fine with him staying in left field or whatever, or having to move to right. I mean, he can play anywhere. And Justin Crawford coming up. I think that you are going to see changes on the roster in the upcoming, not this season, obviously, but in the next year. You're going to see changes on this roster, and Nick Castellanos is not going to be on this roster. I don't think Rob Thompson's going to be on this roster. Managing. I'll say that. I don't think Rob Thompson's going to be managing after getting swept out of the postseason. Yeah, no, that's it. See you later, dude. That's a wrap. But I think that's another reason why Nick Castellanos said what he said. If Nick Castellanos thinks that we're tough now, wait till he plays at Citizens Bank Park next year in a different uniform. Wait till he comes to bat for that and see how that goes. I do think that that's also part of it as to why he said what he said. He realized he could be playing his last game at Citizens Bank Park. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want because there's no way we're beating Yamamoto on Wednesday. So, see yous. Here's my parting gift. You all suck. He didn't say that, but y'all could be better, a little bit better, a little nicer, a little kinder. Yeah, not that ain't us, man. That ain't the city of Philadelphia. That ain't the city of Philadelphia's fan base, to be broader with the term. So I read the comments, and I think somebody alluded to it in the chat yesterday, and I roll my eyes at it. Like, in all honesty, it's just like, dude, now is not the time for that. Like, nobody wants to hear that after your team is down 0-2. I believe part of Nick Castellanos I don't think he's checked out of playing in the series. I don't think he's mailing it in by any means. I wouldn't throw that at him. But I do think he is done with Philly. That's the way I see it. Now, as far as the game goes, the thing that matters the most, I mean, it's 9:08 tonight, Nola versus Yamamoto. I don't feel good about this at all. As much as I'd love to see a outburst like the Yankees had last night to stay alive against the Blue Jays, and Aaron Judge has the 3-run home run off the foul pole, now fair pole in left field at Yankee Stadium. As much as I'd love to see that moment's right there for Bryce Harper or that moment's right there for Kyle Schwarber, no, I don't think so. Don't see it happening. I don't see this team all of a sudden getting out of that funk. I don't see Kyle Schwarber all of a sudden breaking out of a, what is he now, 0 for his last, or hitless in his last 24 at-bats, going back to the regular season, obviously. Don't feel good. 0 for 7 in the postseason, 5 strikeouts. Yep. Don't feel good. Feel terrible, as a matter of fact. Love to see Trey Turner break out. Hey, maybe that 8th inning single was the turning of the tide. I don't know, but I don't feel very confident about the Phillies winning. I feel like it's going to be done. I feel like Wednesday is the last game of the season. I feel like Wednesday is the last time Rob Thompson's manager of this team. I feel like it's the last game that Castellanos might play in tonight. And that'll be a wrap. I told you all season this is a playoff team, but I never had confidence that they were going to make a deep playoff push. And it all comes down to hitting. I believe this, and I compared them to the Sixers earlier, and I've done that quite a bit throughout the season. This Phillies team, I think, needs to have more of an approach like the Sixers, as a matter of fact, where they need to look at the regular season and go, yeah, this doesn't really matter. Let's try to get, middle of the road playoff seeding. We don't got to be number one. But let's just get into the tournament, as they say now, and then see what happens from there. I'll tell you this. I hate the bye week now. I absolutely hate the bye week. Oh, my good. Oh, do I hate the bye. Now, here's the thing. I love the idea of the Phillies playing their best baseball in September. Love that idea. Don't like that idea when it propels them, thanks to a Mets epic collapse, propels them in the first place, helps the Phillies stack some wins at the end of the season, and then become, a team other than the Brewers to get the first round bye. I'm done with that now. I'd rather you just keep playing, because it looks like it takes this offense way too long to wake up. And you need about 10 inter-squad games. You need a double header of inter-squad games for 5 days to look like you stay sharp. Of course, 7 innings, not 9. Let's not get crazy. But that's where I'm at right now. Feel pretty terrible about this team. Anyway, look forward to watching the game tonight, and hopefully they prove us wrong. Hey, a team that I don't feel terrible about, even though they lost. Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday, and this might be the most Philly-colored glasses ever. But I got to this point yesterday when I was talking on the Eagle Squad show with Jason Martinez and Harry Mays. I was talking about this on Locked on Eagles YouTube, by the way. I was talking about, if you're going to losing a non-division, non-conference game is the game to lose. And if you're going to lose, you want to lose on a short week where you play Thursday. And I'll go cross sports here for a second. It kind of reminds me of a starter being moved to the bullpen. I've talked to bullpen guys where they're like, when I was a starter, it was like, oh, man, I sucked, and now I got to wait 4 days to get out there again. But when in the bullpen, I could suck and then bounce right back the next day and have a good outing. Like, I love that. That's kind of how I feel about this short turnaround for the Eagles. All right, they lost Sunday, but they turn right back around on Thursday. They play a divisional opponent, obviously, in the New York Giants, and hopefully they spank them, which I think they will. And they have this, beautiful moment of everybody coming together, having the tough conversation between A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and everybody's together, and they're trying to hash it out and have the tough conversation. And then they go up and they win like 41-10. That'll be nice, right? If they're going to lose, this past Sunday was the game to lose. Non-conference, and you play a divisional team right away on Thursday on a short week. I am all for it. I love it. One thing that might make it better. It's odd to say this about a team that was 4-0 going into last week versus a team that was 2-2 after 4 weeks last year. They went into their bye. Now, what happened in their bye week? In their bye week, there's rumors of meetings with like Brandon Graham and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and all these people getting together and figuring it out, hashing it out. Lane Johnson using the open door policy and Nick Sirianni and figuring it out and getting on the same page and saying, hey, that Saquon Barkley guy's really good. Maybe we should give the ball to him more, Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni getting on the same page. All that. They had a bye week to do it. This time they had a day to do it. And then they got to play Thursday because they got to do everything else. They got to have the shortened week. They're even having the press conferences earlier in the week. They're only having one locker room media availability, I believe it is. And then they got to get on a bus and they got to go up to North Jersey to play the Giants. So you don't have that much time to hash it out. But I did love the idea when it was out there. I think John Clark put it out there saying that Barkley, Brown, and Hurts all met for hours to hash things out. Here is Jalen Hurts on that meeting.
Man, it's just us talking about the collective, talking about taking ownership for what we can, and talking about how we move forward as a team so we continue to find ways to win games.
Why the need for a meeting, do you think?
Just really just teammates being teammates.
What was your takeaway in the conclusion of the meeting?
Say it again?
What was your takeaway conclusion of the meeting?
I don't want to make this about that, right? We got a short week. We got a division opponent coming in here. I enjoyed every second of it, and I'm enjoying every second of every opportunity we have to improve. And so that's what I've always made it about. That's what I'll continue to make it about. It's truly about the collective and what we do and the opportunities we have in front of us. And so everybody in this building just wants to take advantage of that.
I admire those guys all getting together. And I don't think anybody like Saquon Barkley, for instance, this is what he had to say about the meeting.
Yeah, we had a conversation, but I'm not going to speak too much on it. I feel like that conversation is meant to stay between us, but focus was all about the team, and I think it was a good thing.
Mum is the word. Now, I think in the coming days, little things will leak out about the meeting. People will talk and they'll hear things about it and they'll release it in the media or social media, whatever. And they'll be like, oh, this meeting, they talked about getting on the same page, how AJ feels slighted by Jalen Hurts. They don't like each other, Like, I feel like little things will come out like that. But here's the deal. You win, nobody's going to care. The offense plays to the standard that they set for themselves last year, even close to that standard that they set for themselves last year. Great things are going to happen. Nobody's going to give a damn about anybody's feelings. So they're not going to give you a lot of details on what was said, at least not yet. But things will leak out, I have no doubt, in the coming days and weeks from the meeting, also depending on how the season goes from that point on. But the good part about this is, you have the short week, you have the meeting, you all get together, you try to get on the same page. That's great. Then you have Thursday, and then you're off. Then you don't play again until the following week. Then you have a little bit of a longer week, a mini bye week after that, as the players like to refer to it. I love that. But how does this team get better? Well, one is they have to have communication. This is a big part of that communication. I'm happy to hear that. I rank the Eagles' biggest problems. I go offensive line. Right behind that, Kevin Patullo. Then I look at Jalen Hurts' play overall. And those are really, Jalen Hurts, Kevin Patullo are really the 4 biggest problems I see with this Eagles team. Offensive line, Jalen Hurts, Kevin Patullo. Pass rush. That needs to be better, too, on the defensive line. That obviously needs to be better. But I think those are the 4 biggest problems. When you go back and you watch the film on Jalen Hurts, and I know a lot of people look at Kevin Patullo and say he's the problem. I'm not as much as you think, because there's plays to be made that Jalen's not making. And what I learned from the Carson Wentz era was when everything's falling apart around you, you can't be part of the problem. You have to be standing tall. And Jalen hasn't done that the last 2 weeks. The Rams game, second half, he balled out. He was fantastic. First half against the Buccaneers, he was fantastic. Second half, non-existent. Confused as all hell. Now, you can look at Kevin Patullo and where's the adjustments? Well, when there are guys open or there's shots downfield, like Devontae Smith wide open in the middle of the field, Jalen Hurts has to hit him. And he's got a line of sight to him. He's got to hit him. Jalen Hurts in this game had a couple of opportunities to really change the outcome of the game. One of them, unfortunately, A.J. Brown just gave up on. I'll let you hear from A.J. Brown or from Jalen Hurts on that. The other was having a tight end wide open down the field and, for whatever reason, just committing to scampering out of bounds and taking a sack, his second sack of the game. Second sack of the game on him because he just ran out of bounds, short of the sticks. What? The thing, now look, when I look at that pie chart of the problems that I'll call out again, offensive line, Jalen Hurts, Kevin Patullo, and pass rush, I look at that pie chart, and things are slightly bigger than the other. It's not like this problem's the biggest problem by a mile. No, I don't see it as that because I don't think anything's been particularly good. And if it hasn't been particularly good, it hasn't been particularly good consistently. Now, Kevin Patullo, for the love of God, can I stop seeing you bring guys into the box with your formation to stop Saquon Barkley? Can I see that, please? Can I see a little bit more of a spread offense instead of condensing everything in the middle of the field and then having Saquon run up the middle? Can I see that? Can you also realize that bringing Devontae Smith in motion for a run out of the shotgun is not exactly the greatest way to do things? For instance, the tackle that was made on Saquon Barkley because of the guy that Devontae Smith brought into the box when he motioned. Oh, drat, it's not man. And look, this is not an excuse whatsoever. This is an acknowledgement. And in all honesty, it's praise. Landon Dickerson is better than this. Cam Jurgens is better than this. Lane Johnson is better than this. Jordan Mailata is better than this. Tyler Steen, I don't really know if he's better than this, but I hope he is. It's first year starting for you as a right guard, or first year starting for you in general. They all can play better. The last sack of the game, and I went through all the sacks yesterday, but the last sack of the game, Lane Johnson was put on roller skates and pushed back into Jalen Hurts. That can't happen. Lane Johnson, supposed to be your best guy. Jordan Mailata getting the arm tossed out of the way. Another, the best football player, Pro Football Focus last year. That can't happen. This offensive line has been a problem this year. The biggest problem, by a small margin, but still the biggest problem. Jalen Hurts, he can really mask a lot of things, man, by hitting these throws, making these reads. They always talk about taking what the defense gives them. Well, when your tight end's wide open down the field, hit him. I don't care if it's Grayson. I don't care if it's Calcaterra. I don't care if it's Goddard. In this situation, it was Grayson. Hit him. Here's Jalen Hurts on the play to A.J. Brown, by the way.
I think it's bigger than just one play in a game. One play in a game doesn't define the whole entire game. When I think about it this way, in the end, we had the ball as an offense, and we had an opportunity to go win the game, and we didn't. And being a quarterback, I take that very personally. I had the ball in my hands, and you know, I didn't get it done. We didn't get it done, and so it gives us an opportunity to improve, see how can we grow from that and move forward.
And I'm fine with that. I'd love to see them move forward from it. I love that he didn't throw him under the bus, as one would assume. I'm not expecting Jalen Hurts to be like, yeah, the wide receiver stopped running. Like, I'm not expecting that. That'd be awesome, but he's not going to do that, and that wouldn't help anybody except us. Speaking of honesty, that would have been nice, but that's not going to help anybody. We all saw the play. We all saw what happened. I called it out for being complete BS that A.J. Brown did not take more accountability for his mistake on that play. After the other thing, it still bothers the hell out of me that A.J. Brown busted his ass so hard to get to that level, including making a cut on the safety to turn him around and get open, and then stopped. It's a touchdown. Jalen Hurts put the ball right where it was supposed to be. He stopped running. I thought originally it was just a little step, but it was multiple steps that he lost in that little side glide that he went into. But Jalen's misplays this year. It's very simple. I mean, guys aren't running wide open and he's standing there in the pocket like, duh, should I throw it? But like on a play where you have the opportunity to just make better plays, as I referenced yesterday on the sacks, the 3rd and 13, he's got AJ wide open in the middle field. Hit him! 3rd and 15, he gets sacked by Bonito. He's got Grayson open, but he was too late in seeing him. He also had Will Shipley leaking out of the backfield. There's just better plays to be made. Give the opportunity to your teammate to make a play. 2 of the sacks I do put on the offensive line. 2 of the sacks I put on Jalen for scampering out early. And the other 2 of the 6 that there were, I don't put on Jalen for scampering out early. I put it on Jalen for really 4 of the sacks. 4 of the 6 were on Jalen because there are better plays to be made that were not high-risk plays, especially for someone of the athleticism and mobility of Jalen Hurts. Like, I don't get it. I'm watching Matthew Stafford get out of the pocket. I'm watching Baker Mayfield and Bo Nix, and Jalen Hurts is 20 times the athlete any of these guys are, and he gets out of the pocket and doesn't keep his eyes downfield. There's no excuse for that. Or if he thinks he's going to throw it into the line again to get battered by a defensive lineman like happened 3 times in this game, to get out of the pocket. But keep your eyes downfield. Jalen Hurts is such a better quarterback than what we have seen so far this season. I mean, we've seen it in glimpses. The throw to Saquon was a thing of beauty. And he had another opportunity for a 40-plus yard touchdown pass. That one would have been to A.J. Brown on the one that A.J. stopped. But there are plays that, yeah, he's leaving out there on the field. Better plays to be made, and that's on Jalen. He makes these plays. Hey, look, not that I want him to pad stats, but they're going to look a little bit better. I'll give you another example. Like, here's where the stats, you can throw them out the window, but just in terms of keeping the offense going, making better plays, it's an example. The numbers aren't everything. As I always tell you, numbers never lie, but they sure as hell deceive. The Saquon Barkley play in the first half against the Buccaneers. Now, Jalen Hurts is being pressured, and Saquon Barkley is about 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage because he's drifting back with Jalen. As Jalen's drifting away from the coverage, he can't step up in the pocket. Everything's jammed up. It's all condensed. The pocket's collapsing him on all that. Instead of him just living to fight another down, he throws it to Saquon in a lose-lose situation. This is what you call passing your problems onto somebody else. They talk about it in hockey a lot. Passing your problems. I think it was Laviette used to say that. Passing your problems onto somebody else. You're putting Saquon in a position where he's just going to lose yards. He's 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's got a corner in front of him, and he's got a safety coming in over the top. He's not going to win that. If it's one-on-one, yeah, I got confidence he could bulldoze somebody, make a move, make somebody miss, and get upfield. But in this particular situation, the play has gone on too long. He dumps it off to Saquon, where he should have just sailed it over his head out of bounds so they lived to fight on the next down as opposed to now living on a 4-yard loss. That's where his stats would have taken a hit with an incompletion instead of just one incompletion, But that's the decision he made. Maybe that one is haunting him, and that's why he didn't go to A.J. Brown on the 3rd and 13. Maybe that's why he didn't dump it off to Will Shipley on the 3rd and 15. Maybe that's why he didn't decide to let it rip, to throw it away on a corner blitz on the 3rd and 13. I don't know. But Jalen could certainly be better. And the thing is, if Jalen's better, then it makes everybody look better. You have such power as a quarterback to be the deodorant. Like a lot of things, like I don't think Kevin Patullo has done a great job at all. Let's just get that out of the way. Don't get it twisted. Just because I said he's not the biggest problem doesn't mean that doesn't mean that I think he's great by any means. But there is an unfortunate learning on the job aspect to when I'm watching him. And whether that's little shovel passes that you saw in the Buccaneers game, whether it's the shotgun toss to Saquon that he was able to get 17 yards on a season long, I was like, okay, he's figuring it out as a play caller. Good for him. The wheel route to Saquon for the touch. All right, I like what I'm seeing. But if Jalen just doesn't miss opportunities, everything looks better. If Jalen rolls out of the pocket on that 2nd and 10, and just keeps his eyes downfield in the second quarter there, he sees Grayson. That's a 40-yard gain, if not a touchdown. That's a huge play. And instead, he scampers out of bounds. That's quarterbacks are always getting too much blame, always getting too much praise, but you can make everybody look really good by just making these reads. And that's it. And I feel like the team could really do Jalen a favor by getting him to the line of scrimmage faster and getting the plays in. Now, that comes down to Kevin Patullo. They can help everybody by getting these plays in faster and letting Jalen look what's in front of him. And maybe Jalen can have the same success as he had last year with his pre-snap reads. He'd be like, oh, this is the one for Saquon. Okay, here we go. Bang, 70-yard run. An interesting theory that was brought up by Seth Joyner on the postgame show on Sunday was maybe they're getting to a point where they don't want Jalen to check the play at the line of scrimmage. Maybe they're getting to a point where Jalen's doing a little bit too much. And he's, what do they say, improvising a little too much? That was just a theory thrown out there by Seth. Interesting, food for thought. Speculation, of course. Not solid information, just speculation. Trying to figure out why this year it seems a little bit more than normal. Why are they bringing the huddle so late? What's going on here? Maybe they don't want to give Jalen the opportunity to call his own play. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting food for thought from an Eagles Hall of Famer, Seth Joyner. Eagles kick off with the Giants. I'm before I get into a full-blown breakdown of this game, like I will tomorrow, you're taking on the 24th ranked pass defense. You're taking on the 26th ranked run defense. Dominate this game. You're going up against good defensive line, but dominate this game. Please and thank you. Make us all feel better about life. Thank you. I'll let you hear from Jalen. Oh, Saquon. Well, last thing I wanted to play for you guys. Saquon yesterday at his locker. So to follow the bouncing ball, Monday, Saquon didn't practice, knee issue. Calcaterra didn't practice, oblique. Landon Dickerson didn't practice, ankle. This is on Monday. Jahad Campbell was limited. Byron Young was limited. Nakobe Dean, full participant. Tuesday, okay, Nakobe Dean again, full participant. Saquon upgraded to limited. Jahad Campbell stayed limited. Byron Young stayed limited. Did not practice. Landon Dickerson, Grant Calcaterra. Saquon Barkley on whether or not people should be worried about his health and whether or not his health had anything to do with only 6 carries against the Broncos.
I know a lot of people started reacting because they said I wouldn't practice. None of us practiced yesterday. You just have to, because of, I don't know what reason. If you have anything, everything has to be reported. So I know the Eagles are doing what they're supposed to do, but nothing too worried about. Some general soreness, and I'm excited to go play.
Is that a factor in the game Sunday?
Yeah, I had some soreness. I don't think that's the reason, why we lost. But no, nothing impacted the game.
They ran a lot of RPOs and they optioned to do the P instead of the R part. That's why I didn't run the ball a lot. And Kevin Patullo said the same thing during the press conference yesterday, which is a little bit surprising because I always thought Jalen liked giving the ball to Saquon. Maybe he realizes that there's a better play, that the hole's not going to be there for him. I don't know. But A lot of confusion about the Eagles offense right now, unfortunately. But Saquon, I never thought he was going to miss this game. And one of the things I always try to keep in mind in the first practice of the week, even on a short week, maybe even especially on a short week, if I see did not practice, I put nothing into that. And the question Saquon Barkley's asking about, I don't know why they do it. I'll tell you what, gambling. That's why they do it. Smart NFL, gambling money. That's why they do it. That's why the injury reports are out there. By the way, days leading up to the game, the injury reports are updated. So that's why. Gambling. For anyone that needs to know that, maybe Saquon's one of them. Maybe he's being real. It's gambling. But I never thought that Saquon was going to be missing this game. He's not missing an opportunity to play against the Giants. Simple as that. He's also not going to miss an opportunity on playing against one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. It's so bad, as a matter of fact, that it does rival the Eagles' run defense being pretty terrible. The Giants are 26th ranked again in run defense, while the Eagles are 22nd ranked in run defense. Giants are giving up 140 yards on the ground this season. Licking your chops. And if the Giants decide to, we're just going to stop Saquon, we're going to load the box, well, then please, oh, please, dominate in the air. Give AJ, I don't fault the Eagles for wanting to give AJ Brown the ball. Like, he's a good football player. Like, I want him to have the ball. He could have had the ball. He would have quit on that play. But anyway, yeah. And by the way, I saw Brian Dable said yesterday that AJ Brown is open a lot. So hopefully that trend continues against the Eagles, but this time, against the Giants, but this time for the Eagles, they use it to their advantage. So yeah, Saquon's playing in this game, said he felt good, and it had nothing to do with why he only had 6 carries, the knee issue, just general soreness. Zach Bond talked about the hit, as did Vic Fangio, the flag that got thrown on him, unfortunately. And Fangio said it was kind of bang, bang. He's seen him call it before. He's also seen him not call it before. Like, I know you guys were saying this yesterday in the chat, and I believe, or was it Monday? I'm with you that they didn't need to throw that flag. The guy's still fighting for yards. I get it. For whatever reason, that's just how they call it. And I hate that that's how they call it, but that's how they call it. But if that's how they call it for that play, then they sure as hell better call it when Jalen Hurts is scrambling and going into a slide like he was against the Buccaneers and then gets his head driven into the ground. Then they better call it there, too, on the quarterback. So let's make sure that happens. But Bond was just like, yeah, it's bang, bang play. It's like, got to hold up. It's just how they call it kind of thing. Vic Fangio did praise Azeez Ojulari for how he played in this game against the Broncos. Go figure. Maybe having him active is a good idea. Another former Giant returning to the Meadowlands. Let's get him after Jackson Dart. Quenyon Mitchell still going to be following the number one guy. He did praise Jackson Dart's mobility. Says the Giants have gotten a quarterback. Also praised Zadarius Smith for his contribution. Cooper DeJean being a flat-out baller. Complimented him. And Jalen Hunt getting better and better. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to get better and better. And also for the amount of snaps and the amount of time they were out there in the second half as a defense against the Broncos, fatigue was not a factor, according to your boy, Vic Fangio. Ugh. Let's get into the chat check and see how wonderful people are doing on this fine, fine day. Rye, hello. April, good morning. Tate, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Kilray, good morning. Can we ring the bell asking for a friend? I'd love to see the bell rung. Eagles lead the NFL in 3-and-out conversion percentage, 47.2%. How insane is that? How insane is that? Eagles core 4 of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and Jahan Dotson have combined for a drop rate of 0%. They should probably keep getting the ball. I concur. Right. Thank you. That is such a great one. I was talking about Malcolm Jenkins. I would have booed us too. I was talking about Bryce Harper saying yesterday, I would boo me if I wasn't playing well, you know. And then, yeah, that's another great one. Mrs. Sirianni, after the Eagles got booed in a preseason game, Nick's talking about it with his wife, and she goes, well, what'd you give him to cheer for? That's such a great line. Oh, I like her already. But I beat do bop boop. What do you got there? What do you got there? Kensad. Good morning. Hello. God bless. God bless. Phillies lose tonight. Manager will be fired in the next week. 1/3 of the team will be gone too. Only Schwarbombs are shooting out. Okay, that's funny. T-Bro, keep Bader. I absolutely agree. Keep Bader. Bader, Marsh, Crawford, outfield next year. Hell yeah, man. That's, when I think about hope for the Phillies down the line, I think of Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter, and Justin Crawford. That's what I think of for hope down the line. Sean Kilrain, Saquon Barkley, 1,343 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns, 435 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, but there's more. Giants defense this season, 10th most points allowed, 5th most yards allowed, 10th most yards allowed per play. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Cousin, what's up, cousin? Good morning. Sweet mercy, Eagles need a get-right game, but not sure they have done anything this season to suggest this Thursday game won't be close and ugly like all the others. Yeah, it is going to be kind of tough to turn it around for this game coming up on tomorrow night. It's going to be tough to turn it around by then. But I'm hoping, look, the key to success in anything that involves a partner or a team is communication. Eagles having the tough conversation potentially. Maybe that's a tough conversation they needed. Maybe Brett Toth comes in and is the next graduate of Stoutland University. He's probably going to be your starting left guard tomorrow night. Maybe 100% of Brett Toth is better than 80% of Landon Dickerson. Maybe he holds down the fort. Maybe Lane Johnson just pancakes people. Maybe this offensive line opens up those holes for Saquon a little bit wider and holds them for a little bit longer. That's what I would very much like to see coming up tomorrow night. Phillies, Dodgers tonight. In Chavez Ravine in Los Angeles. I think this will be a wrap. Aaron Nola. Yamamoto faced the Phillies once this season. That was all the way back in April. It did not go well for the Phillies. They won the game, but it was against Jesus Luzardo. And Jesus Luzardo and Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a pitcher's duel, 2-1 game. And Yamamoto, did do his thing throughout that start, but had a long layoff. Hasn't pitched in 7 days. I'm going to go ahead and cross my fingers that some good things happen tonight for the Phils. Went 6 2/3, 2 runs, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts against the Reds in the wild card round. Let me go back to that first game he had against the Phillies this year. Yeah, it was April 4th. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. 3-2. It was 3-2 Phillies victory, excuse me. How did your boy Kyle Schwarber do in that one? Oh, Schwarber led off. That's right. Early in the season, he was leading off still. He flied out to left on a 2-1 fastball against Yamamoto. Castellanos got an infield single. Drew a walk. Full count and a walk on Yamamoto. That's good. Was it the last time we faced him? No, and he grounded out to first. And another full count. All right. So we got some full counts there for Schwarber. Let's get it going. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You guys are great. As per usual, we'll be back with you guys later today for Locked On Sixers, Locked On 76ers. And then back with you guys tonight, Locked On Phillies postcast on the Locked On Phillies YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Really appreciate the comments that a lot of you guys left after the last postcast. It was really nice stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that on the show. So I do appreciate that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.